Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is Muhammad Hashi. Today I'm gonna explain the general overview of brachial plexus. Brachial plexus is the main or the nerve supply to upper limb. Upper limb meaning from the clavicle or pectoral region to the tip of the fingers. So the general overview of brachial plexus I will divide into two parts. In part one, I will explain the graph, how brachial plexus, how the nerve, the short branch arises from the brachial plexus, and what muscles do those short branches supply. And in the second part of the general overview, I will explain and write down all the muscles that are supplied by the terminal branch of the brachial plexus. Brachial plexus has short branches and terminal branches. So the terminal branch I will explain in the second part of this series. So let us start with the first part. Those are roots. Roots meaning the spinal cord segment of the nerve. C5, C6, C7, C8, and T1. So those are roots. We label it roots. Then C5 and C6 unite to form trunk, superior trunk. And C7 stays itself, and it's called middle trunk. And C8 and T1 unite and form inferior trunk. In the human anatomy, whenever you heard the word superior, inferior, lateral, or medial, it is always with respect to another structure. And it is important to understand that structure or to identify that structure to get the whole picture. In this case, brachial plexus is defined in relation to subclavian artery, which I will explain in a later tutorial. So let us move on. So trunks. So now we have the roots and the trunks. Superior trunk, middle trunk, and inferior trunk. Before I move to divisions, let us move and write down the short branches that come off from the roots. The first branch is the phrenic nerve, and phrenic nerve is not only contributed by the brachial plexus, but it's also C3, C4 from the cervical plexus that also contribute to phrenic nerve. Phrenic nerve supplies diaphragm. In this tutorial, I'm not going to explain the function of those muscles or the anatomical locations of those muscles, such as insertion and origin. I will explain those in the later tutorial. This is just a general overview of the brachial plexus. What are the names of the nerves and what muscles do those nerves supply? So first one is phrenic nerve that comes off from the roots. The second one The second one is dorsal scapular nerve. So dorsal scapular nerve supplies three muscles. Lateral scapula and rhomboids. Rhomboids major and minor. Due to the space, I just wrote rhomboids, but it's rhomboids major and minor. The third one is the long thoracic nerve, which supplies serratus anterior. Serratus anterior. As you can see, it contains C5, C6, and C7. So now let us now move on the trunk, superior trunk. There is no branches that comes off from the middle trunk or the inferior trunk. There are only two short branches which comes off from the superior. Both comes off from the superior trunk. So the first one is suprascapular nerve. Suprascapular nerve supplies two muscles. Supraspinatus and infraspinatus. There is also a small nerve here. Subclavian nerve. Subclavian nerve supplies one muscle, subclavius. Now we have all 5 short branches which are branches from the superior, 2 from superior trunk and 3 from the roots, as you can see here. So we are moving to the deficiencies now. There's no branches, no single branches that come off from the deficiencies. Now we have each is split into two, anterior deficient and posterior deficient. Let's start with the superior trunk. Superior trunk divides into 2, anterior deficient and posterior deficient. Similarly, middle trunk is split into 2, anterior deficient and posterior deficient. Inferior trunk also is split into 2, posterior deficient and anterior deficient. So posterior deficient, anterior deficient. It's 1 anterior deficient of the superior trunk and posterior deficient of the superior trunk. Anterior deficient of middle trunk, posterior deficient of the middle trunk. Now, all the posterior deficients unite and form posterior cord. So we are now moving to cords. As I said, there is no branch, there is no single nerve that comes off from the deficient. So let's move to the cords. So, cords. In terms of the cords, we have the lateral cord, medial. We have lateral cord, posterior cord, and medial cord. So now there are small branches that come up from the posterior cord and lateral cord and also medial cord. So let me write down those. is lateral pectoral nerve. Lateral pectoral nerve branches off from the lateral cord, and it supplies mainly pectoralis major. On the posterior cord, there are 4 short branches. And number 1 is lower subscapular nerve, which supplies 2 muscles, subscapularis lower subscapular nerve supplies subscapularis and teres major. There is also upper subscapular nerve. Only is this space. Upper subscapular nerve also supplies the same muscle, subscapularis. That means subscapularis has a dual innervation. Third branch is thoracodorsal. Thoracodorsal nerve. Thoracodorsal nerve supplies latissimus dorsi. Latissimus dorsi. Those are 3 branches. There's one more, axillary nerve. Axillary nerve supplies deltoid group of muscles and teres minor, which is one of the rotator cuff muscles I will discuss in a later tutorial. And then we come to the medial cord. So there's only one motor here, and that's called medial pectoral nerve. Medial pectoral nerve. Medial pectoral nerve supplies 2 muscles, also same muscle, pectoralis major. Pectoralis major and pectoralis minor. Now, the set for motor. There are two short branches which are cutaneous or sensory nerve. It's called medial cutaneous nerve of forearm and medial cutaneous nerve of arm. Those are sensory. So we are not interested here of the sensory. The motor, the short branches that are motor are 4 from the chorus, posterior cord, 1 from lateral cord, and 1 from medial cord. Then short branches also that are off from the superior trunk, subscapular nerve, and subclavius. Another 3 from the roots, dorsal scapular, phrenic nerve, and long thoracic nerve. And those are in the green marker. Those are the ones that are the muscles. So serratus anterior for long thoracic, medial pectoral nerve for pectoralis minor and major, phrenic nerve, diaphragm, dorsal scapular nerve, lapharoscapula, and rhomboid. Rhomboid major and minor. Lateral pectoral nerve, pectoralis major. Deltoid axillary nerve, deltoid and teres minor. Lower subscapular nerve, subscapularis and teres major. Now we're moving to the long branch. So how are the long branches formed before we move on? So there are medial part of the medial nerve right here. So those are called terminal branch of the brachial plexus. Let me write down their names. This is musculocutaneous. Musculocutaneous nerve. We are moving from lateral to medial. So musculocutaneous nerve contains C5, C7. Why it contains C5, C7? Because it is terminal branch of the lateral cord, and lateral cord is formed by the anterior division of the superior trunk, which contains C5, C6, and anterior division of the middle trunk, which contains C7. So that's why musculocutaneous nerve contains C5, C7. C5 to C7. So C5, C6, C7. Radial nerve. Radial nerve contains spinal cord segment C5, T1. Why? Because the radial nerve is a terminal branch of the posterior cord, which contains the posterior divisions of all trunks: superior trunk, middle trunk, and inferior trunk. Medial nerve. C5 to T1. Median nerve also contains C5 to T1 because it has some fibers from the lateral cord, lateral part of the medial branch, or lateral branch of the median nerve, and medial branch of the median nerve, which are formed by C8 and T1. So that's why also median nerve contains C5 to T1. Last and not the least, ulnar nerve. Ulnar nerve contains C8T1. Those are the terminal branches, and I'm going to write down all the muscles, the names of the muscles that terminal branch of the brachial plexus supplies. I will number them from lateral to medial. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those 4 terminal branches. So that's it for this part. For the next tutorial, I will be explaining the terminal branches. We already know the names: musculocutaneous, radial nerve, medial nerve, and ulnar nerve. So I'm going to explain the muscles that those nerves supply. Those are about 37 muscles. So see you in the next tutorial, and be sure to subscribe the channel.